Coming into the first round of the 2021 NBA playoffs, the biggest question mark for this Brooklyn Nets team led by Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and Kevin Durant was the question of whether or not that big three had been able to get enough chemistry going between the three of them and be able to play well in the playoffs. Now, before shooting the gun and completely saying that this series is enough to say that the Brooklyn Nets are able to win a championship with this big three, it should be noted that the Boston Celtics team that they're playing right now, not only are they a 7th seed, and a 2 seed beating a 7th seed should be nothing to really be happy about, but the Boston Celtics right now, I mean, Jason Tatum did not finish the game yesterday. Jaylen Brown has not been available for about a month now, and he's not going to be coming back for Boston. And when you look at this team past those two guys, the next best player might be Marcus Smart. The next best guy from the outside might be Fournier, maybe Peyton Pritchard. It's really not a good basketball team when you look at how they can score outside of their two stars. And even comparing them to the Brooklyn Nets right now, a lot of the guys that they're going to be looking at to score if those other three guys are not playing at the top capabilities, guys like Joe Harris, guys like Bruce Brown, guys like Blake Griffin, even occasionally somebody like Nick Claxton off the bench, they're able to do more than the others are for the Boston Celtics. Now, just strictly looking at the big three for the Brooklyn Nets, though, the lack of experience that team had through this season, I believe the number of games that all three of them played together was 7. I'm not sure what the record was for those 7 games, but I'm pretty sure it was pretty good. I mean, you don't really lose a lot of games with those 3 guys playing. But that lack of experience, I think, going into this series at least, and probably throughout the rest of the playoffs, is probably more likely than not to be actually a positive for those 3 than a negative. And I mean, just off the jump, those 3 guys are possibly 3 of the top 25. In Kyrie Irving's case, I would probably say he's top 25, but in James Harden and Kevin Durant's case, they're 2 top 10 players in the NBA, and Kyrie Irving being a 3rd star as a top 20, maybe top 25 player. Honestly, even some nights he looks like a top 15 guy. You know, just off the rip, those 3 guys are probably going to be better than any 3 guys that are on the court for any other team. So a lack of experience, I mean, playing together, yeah, it's difficult to win a lot of games doing that. But those are 3 guys at or above the age of 30. And, you know, they've played too much basketball in their lives for probably close to 20, 25 years. That really a lack of chemistry with their on-court teammates, I'm not sure if at that point it's really that big of a detriment to their success. Especially when you look at the fact that Kevin Durant has won 2 championships, Kyrie Irving won a championship in Cleveland, James Harden never won a championship in Houston or Oklahoma City, but he has experience getting to the finals in Oklahoma City. And he really, as the Rockets, superstar, was the only real team in the West that we thought of as a consistent threat to the Golden State Warriors while the Warriors were making that 6 or 7 year championship run. Now, in terms of how other teams get to play against the Brooklyn Nets, again, the Boston Celtics are nowhere near a championship contending team right now. However, what the Celtics are going through right now, and what other teams are going to be going through when they face the Brooklyn Nets, is there's really not a lot to watch on that Brooklyn Nets team, especially when you look at the big 3 playing together. Like I said, there's probably 7 or 8 games that those 3 played together during the regular season. And with that being said, even though the 3 don't have a lot of chemistry together, not a lot of teams know really what to expect out of those 3. A lot of, the ways that teams win in the playoffs is just due to the fact that they are able to watch tape on the other team and figure out what the strengths are of their main players and how to stop that. Now, on one hand, when you have somebody like James Harden and Kevin Durant, the weaknesses are not really there. I mean, with Kyrie Irving, you could say, yeah, he kind of plays a little selfishly. So what we would want to do is just have Kyrie Irving have the ball for a majority of the game. But when you have 2 guys like Kevin Durant and James Harden, 2 guys who throughout their entire NBA career have had defenses try to get the ball out of their hands, when they're at the age that they are now and with the experience that they have, especially in James Harden's case, what he went through these past couple of years in Houston, they know what it's like to have defenses swarm them and be able to get through it. That's why offensively, against this Boston Celtics team, they've been practically unstoppable. And when you have that, and when you have a team that really does not have a lot of tape on them in terms of, being able to figure out what their weaknesses are as a team. Even when the three don't play at an incredible pace in terms of their individual statistics, the way that they just swing the game as easily as they do when the three of them are on the court, there's not really much tape that you can watch on this team to say, oh, well, that's a weakness, because not only do they not have a weakness, but they just don't have a lot to be shown for teams to figure out. And really the other thing that kind of overshadows this team in terms of how can you stop them, and really, I mean, when you look at it, there's no way to stop this team because of the fact that even though Kyrie Irving has weaknesses in his game in terms of, I don't really know if Kyrie Irving is the guy to lead a franchise to a playoff series win or a championship series. I mean, we saw what Kyrie Irving did in Cleveland when there was no LeBron. We saw what Kyrie Irving did in Boston. In terms of being able to lead a franchise, we even saw it last year when Kevin Durant was not playing. However, what Kyrie Irving is able to do is get literally his own shot whenever he fucking wants to. There's no chance that any defender, whether it's anybody in the league, can stop Kyrie Irving. It just doesn't happen. When you match that with Kevin Durant, who can shoot over anyone that he wants to, whether they're closing out on him, whether he's just pulling up over somebody, whether he's doing a fadeaway shot, there's literally no single person that can block a shot from Kevin Durant. And he knows that. That's why he's as lethal as he is. And in James Harden's case, I mean, it's an easy... I mean, he shot 4 free throws yesterday, but in any game he wants to, he could get 10 to 15 free throw attempts in a game. He can get 6 or 7 three-point makes in a game if he wants to. He could score 40 points with a triple-double if he wants to in any given game. And I think really that's that combination between those three. That's probably the most lethal three-man combination we've ever seen in the NBA. Steph and Klay were cool with Kevin Durant in terms of being able to put up monster numbers offensively. Yeah, I mean, but they have nothing on this Brooklyn Nets team. I mean, you compare Klay's offensive game to James Harden's offensive game in terms of being able to put an offense on their back. Klay Thompson can do it in terms of being able to just shoot the lights out of the ball. I'm not saying Klay Thompson is a bad offensive player at all, but when you compare the two games, it's easy to see that James Harden being able to completely lead an offense and be able to completely just tear apart any defense that he ever wants to, that's no comparison to Klay Thompson. And Kyrie Irving compared to Steph Curry, I think that Steph Curry is a little bit better of a player in terms of being able to lead a franchise. Yes, I'll give you that. But Kyrie Irving is your third best player. I mean, it's unfair. And the thing that I thought was going to rear its head a lot more than it has in this series is the fact that, Steve Nash, this is his first ever playoff series that he's going to be coaching. Yeah, he was with Golden State through their run, but this is his first time as the head coach. This is the first time he's the guy, quote unquote, calling the shots. But, I mean, he really has, out of any head coach that's in the playoffs right now, he has the easiest job in the world. If he really wants to, he can just say, all right, y'all just take the ball. I'm not doing nothing. Get up and down the fast break. I'm not going to be calling out nothing. I'm just going to watch you three do your work, and if I need to, I'll make some substitutions to get some defensive balance, to get some shooters out there, to get some rebounding out there, to get some whatever it is. Steve Nash has the easiest job in the world right now in terms of any head coach that is in the playoffs. And, I mean, yeah, it might rear its head for 1 or 2 games in a series, but I honestly just think, even with that lack of experience, it's led this Brooklyn Nets team to actually have a key factor for their success, and that is that lack of experience. It's the lack of teams knowing what this Brooklyn Nets team is doing. And, a lot of people wanted to think that Brooklyn was not going to know what they're doing by the time playoff time came around. But, I mean, it's as easy as it's playing basketball. Those 3 guys have done it, like I said, for 25 years, for each of them, close to. And, I mean, with all that experience, even though the lack of chemistry is there, it's probably been the biggest factor for them is teams don't know what they're going to do. Only those 3 guys really know what they're going to do, and that's the scariest thing. With all that being said, that's going to be the video from me. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you leave a like. If you didn't, make sure you leave a dislike. Any feedback at this point is much appreciated. If you want to subscribe, that'd be cool. If not, that's cool too. It's your choice, bro. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.